I wanted to make this video because I've just recently come into a new understanding of a lot of things in life. And I want to share those things with you guys. And hopefully it'll benefit you just as much as it's benefiting me. Um, the only way I can explain this is we live in a world where everyone thinks that they have the answers to your life. Everyone thinks that they have the knowledge of what you should be doing with your life. But the fact remains that only you and God know what your purpose for this life is. No one else knows this. They have an idea, they can give you hints or pointers and give you their 2 cents of what they think that you should be doing, but only you and God know, and everyone knows in their heart what it is that they should be doing in this life. It's just that we are afraid to do it. We're afraid to step out on faith and to do what God has ordained us to do from the start. When He gave us this life and when He put us here on this earth, He gave us the tools that we need to be what He created us to be. And most of the time, we're just too afraid to step out and try it and do it. But I'm realizing in life that the more we fight against that and the more we kick against those pricks of doing the things that God has ordained us to do, the harder and more stressful life becomes. We become so stressed out, we lose sight of what it is that God has put us here to accomplish. I mean, the thing is that there are things that we can do in this world. We all have them. We all have something that we do that fulfills us and gives us a sense of fulfillment that nothing else can bring us, that nothing else can bring. And when we do it, we lose track of time, we lose track of physical needs. None of that matters when you're doing the thing that fulfills you, because it's the spirit within that becomes nourished by the thing that God has implanted in you to do when you come here. The more that we try to fight against that, the harder life becomes. We end up in a job and doing this job, and we get stuck believing that that's what God wanted us to do so that we could provide for our family or whatever the case may be. But we know that God didn't create you to do it if you're miserable every single day you walk through those doors. If you're miserable every day that you walk through those doors, and you can't say, this is what God created me to do. You can't say that. But you try to convince yourself every day that you walk in there, I'm doing the right thing. No. No, you're not doing the right thing. You're doing what you feel like you need to do, and you're doing what you feel like everyone expects you to do. You know, you got to pay these bills. You have to provide. You have to do this. So you get up every day and you grind it out like that's some type of feat. You do it with pride. I'm grinding and I'm doing what I got to do. Not realizing what you're really doing to yourself. What you're doing to yourself. You know, God gives us these talents to do all of these great things, and we waste it. We waste it doing things that we feel like we're supposed to do. And then we don't have the time nor the energy to do the things that we love to do, the things that we're passionate about. We don't have the time to do it. It's like my kids, you know, a lot of people won't agree with this, but I tell my kids, don't do what you have to do what you love to do. Do what you love to do what your passion is, do what your heart is set on, because those are the things you will do to your best. You will do those things the best that you can because you love what you're doing. It's like a person who cooks. You know, people say like their grandmother might have made some type of food. She made a dish, lasagna or something. And they say, oh, there's no lasagna that tastes like my grandma's lasagna. What is it that she did when she made it that made it so good to you? It was what she put into it when she made it, which is love. And that's the ingredient that the other people don't have. You go to a store, they're just making it up to try to hurry up and get it out to you as a customer. But when she made it, she took her time and her energy was focused on that thing that she did, and she gave it love. So when you ate it, you tasted all that energy that was put into it. And you can't understand it. You're like, why is this so good? It's because of what she put into it. She put her heart and soul into that thing that she made. And it's the same for everyone. A musician, somebody that's just making some music and just kind of making it to try to sound cool, doesn't resonate with you the same way that somebody who puts their heart and soul into every note of that music, because that's their passion. And you feel the hurt, the pain, the happiness, the excitement, whatever they felt when they wrote those words or when they wrote that music, that's what you feel. It translates. So we live in a world now where you got people just doing what they got to do. And it's meaningless. It means nothing. Because you paid your bill? Because you paid your rent? That's the purpose of your life? That's the purpose you living for? It's sad, man. It's sad. Like I told you with my children, and like a lot of people not going to agree with this philosophy. But I tell my kids, they talk about, people talk about education, in school or whatever. I tell my kids, like, look, do what you love. Do what you love. If you're taking a subject in school and that subject don't resonate with you, that's fine by daddy. Daddy's not going to knock your head off because you decided I don't like this class. That's fine with me. I'm not going to beat you because you don't like a certain subject. You ain't supposed to like every subject. God didn't create everybody to like every subject. Some people love math. That's what they excel in. That may be their passion. Numbers may be their passion. So why would you as a parent take that kid and ram history or English down their throat and force them to succeed at that, when what they really truly love is mathematics or science or a sport or dance or art or music? You have a musician as a child, and you don't even give the time of day to cultivate that talent and that passion that they have. They're born to be a musician, and yet you're talking about English and history and science and math, none of which has anything to do with what God created in this individual. That's the stupidity of the educational system to me. It makes no sense. It's a waste of people's time. This child was born to be a musician. That should have been cultivated in them. That should have been their education, because that's what they were born to do. If the person that was born to be a scientist, then by all means, then push that on them, because that's what's going to help them. But everybody's not made the same. An artist, a painter, you hang a painting on the wall and you marvel at this painting. You say, this thing is amazing and it's beautiful. And you pay whatever amount of money for that painting. You don't think, wow, I wonder how that artist did in English class. Because it doesn't matter. Their gift is painting. Their gift is art. So they should have dedicated their time to cultivating their art, so that you would be the recipient of their gift. But we don't live in a world that teaches that. We live in a world that teaches the opposite and has us like zombies and drones, walking around just doing. Just doing. You grow up and you see your peers, and what they're doing, you're doing the same thing. You start off as kids in school, you learn the same things as everyone else. In a classroom, you have an artist, you have a musician, you have a scientist, you have a doctor, you have a lawyer, you have an engineer, you have a marine biologist, a soldier. But yet you have all of these kids in the same class teaching them the same things, the same way. Now tell me, how is that going to work as education? How does that work? It doesn't work. But yet we preach it and preach it and preach it to our kids as if that's the only way. It's not the only way. That is not the only way. It's just we've been brainwashed to believe that. You start off in school, elementary, you learn the same stuff, the same time, the same way. Go to middle school, you learn the same stuff, the same way. You go to high school, you learn the same stuff, the same way. You go to college, you learn the same stuff, the same way. You get a job, you do the same stuff, the same way. But yet we're all supposed to be individuals and be different. Something is messed up there. But nobody opening their eyes and seeing that. But something has then went wrong. Because there's no way that that's what God created, was a bunch of people exactly the same doing the same stuff. We preach our kids about going to college. When college, the price of college is ridiculous and it puts you in debt. But we preach this and preach this and preach this when everybody is not designed for that. But we try to make everybody do it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But yet that's what we do. And so we all grow up feeling like, I got to do what I got to do. And we praise that grind. That you're working hard and you're doing what you got to do. Yep. You are working hard. You're going to work yourself right to death. That's what you're going to do. You're going to work yourself to death. Now, what kind of life is that? Your kids don't see you. You spend all your time at work. You come home. You're too tired to spend 5 minutes listening to what your kid day was like. How is that beneficial for you or your children? It's not. But yet, we're conditioned to believe that it is, because we're affording those video games for our kids. We afford our rent, our bills, our car notes, our house notes, the expensive, ridiculously expensive clothes that people buy for their children when they don't have to, but they do it anyway. So they feel like they're being a stand-up parent by providing material things. But there's no substance there. There's no real relationship that they're building, because they're spending too much time away from the child. And the child is usually around someone else all day long, and not the parent. Because the parent feels like, I got to grind all day long to provide this lifestyle for my child. No, you need to be there. You need to be there. But we don't live in a world that teaches that. We don't live in a world that teaches the family structure and how important that is. To be intact and not separated. A house divided will fall. Plain and simple. It's supposed to be together. It's supposed to be a unit. When I come around, my kids are happy to see me. And they're happy to see me because they love me. And I love them. But how can I spend that quality time with them if I'm constantly at work, and then when I get home I'm stressed out and pissed off and tired and cranky and can't spend no time with them? And then I go to sleep and I get up and I do it all over again. Benefits no one. Not them or not me. And so the whole purpose of this video is to encourage y'all. To encourage y'all to do you. To encourage you to be not fearful. And I'm just getting to that point myself, and I know it's hard. I know it's hard. But it's not as hard as we think. It just requires a little bit of faith. It requires a little bit of faith. But the question is, are you willing to take the responsibility of life off of you and give it to God? And let God take care of that. And you just surrender yourself and say, hey, you created me. You know what you put me here to do. Let me focus my attention on that thing and let me do it, and you take care of the rest. And have faith that He will. And I know it might sound crazy in this world that we live in to think that way. No, I got to get up. I got to grind. I got to work these 2 and 3 jobs. And your kid is just suffering. Or your children and your family is just suffering because they never see you. And then when they see you, you're all wore out. Then by the time you get to your middle age, where you seem to have built up enough to try to enjoy life a little bit, and you're all sickly and out of shape and struggling. What a waste of a life. What a waste. No. When I'm at work, I'm looking at the clock and I'm saying, man, only 1 hour has gone by? I could have sworn maybe 2 or 3 hours went by, only 1 hour? Oh my God, I gotta be here all day doing this junk? What life is that? But when I'm playing music, an hour went by already? I just sat down. An hour has already gone by? Because I'm doing what fulfills me and what gives me life. What gives me life. That other stuff just drains you. It's just draining me away. And I'm telling you my own personal thing. It's just draining the life out of me every single day that I get up and do that. And I'm getting to the point in my life now where I'm tired. I'm tired of living for them. And I want to start living for Him. They didn't create me and put me here to do nothing. They didn't give me my skill sets and my talents, but He did. So why am I giving you my skill sets and my talents and letting you use me for peanuts at the end of the day? When I can let Him use me and give my talents and my gifts to Him and have life and have it more abundantly. You can too. But it's up to you. It's up to you because I'm making my choice. I'm making my choice to do this to a whole nother life. A whole nother life. And it may not make sense to a lot of people. A lot of people may judge it, and a lot of people may get pissed off and say negative things about me. I don't care. Because when God is for me, who can be against me? And if I surrender myself and say, you know what, God, I give all this up, what I'm doing, and I surrender myself to you. You use me. How can I fail? How can I fall if I do that? I can't.